The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host, George Jagba. And with me here in the studio, our in-house analyst. We have your regular Silas Ezegu.
Welcome to
and Tunde Oguntola.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the big issue of the day is the measures put in place by the federal government to curb impending terror attacks. As the terror groups, bandits, Boko Haram, ISWAP, have become more daring. Today, at the National Assembly, specifically in the Red Chamber, the lawmakers attempted moves to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari over issues of insecurity. And of course, when it appeared it might not scale through, the opposition lawmakers staged a walkout. It all boils down to the level of insecurity in the country. Security agencies have warned that terrorists are planning to attack the Federal Capital Territory, Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, Kogi, and Lagos states. And the measures being put by the federal government includes closure of all schools, especially federal government schools, in the Federal Capital Territory. According to the security alert, the Islamic State of West African Province, that is ISWAP, has mobilized fighters and high caliber weapons
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Well, sorry for that break in transmission. It was due to technical issues that were quite beyond our control. Well, we are still on the big issue in leadership podcast, and of course, the big issue of the day is federal government's security measures as terrorists become more daring. And of course, reports of planned attack on public institutions by the terrorists had been in the media for some time now, compelling the Ministry of Education to order the immediate closure of secondary schools in the Federal Capital Territory. And there are also reports that while a convoy of brigade of guard were attacked by terrorists along Buari Kubwa Highway, the terrorists have besieged the Nigerian Law School too in Buari, possibly to launch an attack. And of course, the situation has forced the relocation of the passing out of lawyers from law school to Jabi in the Federal Capital Territory. The event was now held at the office of the body of benchers, or the body of benchers at Jabi. Two army captains and one soldier on Sunday night were killed while battling its insurgent around the Kubwa Buari Road near Abuja while on routine patrol. And of course, although a statement on Monday by the Presidential Guard of Brigade had claimed 3 soldiers were injured during a clash with the terrorists, there are inside sources report that 2 officers and a soldier paid the supreme price during the active service to fatherland. And of course, the menace constituted by the terror groups is now causing panic within the FCT. And this is apart from the series of attacks being launched at the states. Silas, we are in trouble because the situation is such that at the end of the day, we will not even blame the lawmakers in the Senate who moved to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari. They say security, protection of lives and property is the primary function, the primary duty of the government. And if government appears to have failed, it's as if the leadership has failed. And they say in other climes, the best thing the leader should do is to resign. And that is why most of the senators came out today to begin this move of impeachment. Let's start from that impeachment. Can impeachment solve the security situation?
Yeah, it won't be an immediate, not as if one side fix all stuff. But the lawmakers may have been angered by what they perceive as the president's lackluster handling the situation. Okay, and can also understand that they themselves feel individually threatened. Abuja is their head office. This is where they work. Their families too, most of them. So they feel all this while that the terrorists have been wreaking havoc in other places, in Niger, in Kaduna, in Borno, Yobe. They look far-flung, far-off places. But here, the terrorists are in bed in Abuja. They don't even know if they are passing from the Senate building, that's without they will run into a checkpoint and the bomb goes off. So you can see that primarily it's an act of self-preservation. And if you feel like president who's supposed to be the chief security officer of the country is failing to act decisively, then best is to remove him and look for somebody else to see whether the situation can be ameliorated. Because from reports, sipping out through the space, it shows that's not a lack of intelligence. These guys are here. Note the attack on Kuje. In fact, that Kuje attack, I don't know how the government is going to explain it. That the soldiers, the police, the DSS, the prison guard, the civil defense, and whichever security were there, did not fire a single bullet throughout 3 hours, nothing to shoot in the air. And that all the stories around the attack shows a certain level of connivance, and we have started seeing his role, but we're not seeing anything. So then this attack even threatening the video threatening to kidnap Buhari, the president, in Erufai, and then and you're not seeing the president leading the front as he promised when he came. They're going to lead this anti-terror war from the front. You're not seeing it leading from the front. In fact, the guys have been so much emboldened that now that we have to shut down schools, finally they start to shut down markets, shut down churches, so that
The next minute we'll
so
get-
what do they want to?
we'll
Terrorists
find
want
ourselves-
a choice. That's what
find
they
ourselves
want.
entered into another lockdown that was similar to the COVID-19 time.
So that's what they want, and they're achieving it. They don't want schools to be on. They don't want us to live freely as democratic people with rights. They don't want. They want us to be afraid, to be terrorized. And if they start to shut down everything, finally they say shut down National Assembly, and they won't have a place to go again. And they're not being individual. If they run, in fact, let me tell you, before I came here this morning, this day, I ran into somebody who told me the thing that if 300 or 400 terrorists attack, they can come to Abuja to him. Any community they invade, they can be there 1 hour, 2 hours, and sort out people, they will be sorting in Niger, in Katsina, and they will disappear and nothing happens. And what betide you if it's your community they start with? You're on your own. So that's what the person told me, and then I saw him looking very pensive. I said, well, look, these guys are here, and you don't know where they can strike. And can just start with the community and they wipe out everything. So these are things that might be playing in the minds of the militaries, that they are not safe, and if their commander in chief is not commanding the troops out to deal with this non-state actors, the best thing to remove and look for somebody else. Because if what is happening keeps happening and nothing is done, the personnel are there, the head chief of the military, that nothing is being, we've not seen any serious action to contain it. It means that they're feeling that the president doesn't give a damn, and they don't want to lose their lives too. They will not be as protected as the villa. When they go to the NGO home, they don't have the kind of protection the president has. So they feel that if this community chief is not commanding the troops to secure, first of all, and then the Abuja, and maybe you should do it with him. But of course, I knew they were just joking, because you're going to have a senior president like that one.
Well, thank you very much, Silas. I think Silas made a very salient point here today. At the end of the day, while there's panic, there's pandemonium, people are running helter-skelter, trying to bring themselves together, especially bringing in their wards and everybody calling and be sure that their people are safe because of the activities of the terror groups in the FCT, the closure of schools and other security measures. Today I saw military personnel, army, soldiers loaded up, patrolling everywhere. I think what Silas said is something we could possibly conclude that the threat on the nation's capital is like a blessing in disguise, because the lawmakers who have their headquarters here, their offices in Abuja, working, have never felt so threatened like now that the whole thing seems as if terror has come to the nation's capital. all the series of attacks we've been hearing in states today, we've not heard any move to impeach the president. It's because it is now touching these lawmakers. They are now deeming it necessary to move for the impeachment of the president. So, what would you now say? That our leaders are indifferent about what happened to us as citizens until when they choose, they feel threatened. Because with all the series of attacks we have been hearing at the states, in communities, in some states, it would have been enough for them to move. But now it is because they are now, their life is now true, is now true at stake. The president must be impeached.
Okay,
It's absurd.
thank you, Josh, for that question. Well, I must first thank the President Muhammadu Buhari, the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic. I must also thank the Senate, and as well as all the security heads of Nigeria for their efforts so far. We have we were in 2015, and where we are at the moment is quite unfortunate. It's so sad that we are now in this situation. We find ourselves in a situation where we feel so insecure, in a situation where we feel so nervous, in a situation where we keep on daily basis, the security agents keep giving us false hope and false confidence. It's so sad that we are now in this position in this country. You see, I would not like to join in blaming the security agencies for their efforts, but I must say they need our support. And in which area do they need our support? The citizens, when they see something, they must say something. That should be part of their contribution to the security situation. Benga Aruleba on his Facebook post said at life camp he saw two young men looking tattered on Okada, that's motorbikes, motorcycle, and he had to follow them around within the estate. And later on, when they noticed he was following them, they flew. You see, this kind of statement is on his wall on Facebook at the moment. Do they harvest this information that I'm talking about, the security agents? What do they do with the information he shared on his post? When you see such kind of happenings within your neighborhood and you as well into the security agent, do they act? I was told before the Kuje prison attack, the DSS released intelligence information
About 40,
which was shared
40, I think for 40
which
consecutive
was,
times.
which was shared that there was
Hmm.
imminent attack at the Kuje prison. But quite unfortunate, this information was not properly shared and it was not harnessed in a way that it can help protect the inmates and even the prison officers. Sadly, even after this attack, the next thing, even after we need efforts to boost to ensure that the prisons are more safe. Instead, the prison management, that's correctional service, they went to INEC seeking inmates to vote for the 2023 election amidst the whole security threats. So what concerned them more now is
The
inmate
election.
voting. You understand? And the INEC chairman quickly told them that it's just 7 months to the 23 election. Will the politicians go to the prison grounds across the country
Campaign.
to campaign? And at the according to the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, are the inmates legally free to exercise their franchise? You know, we are in the custody, you are not even in the know of what's happening. I can bet that not all, in fact, I doubt maybe the TV sets there are working. You understand? So while all this is going on, we're saying, okay, inmates should vote. You understand? All this is a very sad to hear. Then besides this now, the military, on the other hand, they'll say they are using the kinetic and non-kinetic approach. to fight insurgency. When they say the kinetic approach, which means keep bombing them, keep shooting, keep killing, and all the rest, while the non-kinetic approach seems to be the opposite of the kinetic approach, where you pamper them, you use strategic communication to welcome them, let them in, speak in language they understand, let them to understand there's no need of joining this armed group and make them. Okay, after all this, accepted that okay, it's against the war crime to keep killing the insurgencies, there is need for you to also bring them close. Then you bring them close, you spend millions of naira to rehabilitate this fellow, and after a period of time, maybe you take them to Kuje, then they still go back and release all of them. What's the effort of the non-kinetic approach? What's the use of that? What's the use of that? It's unfortunate, I must say. We need to brazen up. I must commend the men on the front line, which on daily basis they pay the supreme price to keep the Nigerians safe. But we need to do more. You see, the security situation is getting bad every day. People are scared of their community. They cannot sleep with their two eyes closed. And when the security is the primary responsibility of the government, when the citizens are not secured, I think the government need to do more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Silas. Now let's look at the measures being put in place by the federal government. First of all, it started by the planned ban on Okada, that is commercial motorcyclists, otherwise known as Okada. And of course, that one, if you ask me personally, Silas, I will agree that you see, Okada, these people are another cool means of facilitating crime in any community.
They are also cool means for movement
And
and transportation
by these criminals, because unlike vehicles where you can be stuck when they pursue you,
traffic
Okada can swim, they can meander anywhere and
into
then
the
take
forest
action and go, even move into the forest. Then they talk about the closure of schools. If schools are closed, the children are at home. Is that going to solve the security situation? Because if these terror groups see nowhere to attack massively, they will start going to estates, go to residential areas, and take their action. So the measures being put in place, are they enough to address the security situation in the FCT?
Well, I think when the ask schools to close, they were just trying to prevent them from possibly coming under fire. Possibly that intelligence that they have
Plan
interacted.
to attack schools.
But it can't be a long-term measure. Otherwise, you have in the step of Boko Haram. What is Boko Haram? No to education. Education is abomination.
An abomination.
Something like that. So they're happy if people are not going to school. They don't want people to go to school. To
make
Western education. That's their primary mission. Now, so that cannot be a temporary measure while both intelligence and security forces are combing everywhere to to get at the voice, the threat, to neutralize the threat. But if you just close down the schools, and they're not able to neutralize the threat to the schools, to churches, to residents, to motor parks, if you're not able to neutralize them, then it's not started. So the idea is just to shut it down in them, then to give them chance to actually remove the threat posed to these communities, the schools, the churches, all of us are going. So that's one. The Okada one, I don't know why it took government so long to look into how Okada facilitates crime. Because if you look at the kidnapping in Kaduna, they're asking for ransom in cash, in food items, and in
Motorbikes.
and plenty of them.
And how much is the motorbike now? Very expensive.
Okay, maybe because terrorists now
Use them.
So that was saying if they were
And become big
interested,
markets.
if they were interested in tracking them down, when people, the intelligence officers and the soldiers were knowing that this is what they're looking for, there are tailed whenever there's a large purchase of motorcycles, like 20 or 30, and they go. You know that this is meant for this kind of people. And they're asking for it as ransom. Motorcycles they're not clean. You can track where they are going. If you have the requisite technology and pin down where the guys are. If they are interested in finding out where they are and dealing with them. But they just came to the market, bought all the motorcycle they want, and carried it down. Tomorrow you see 300 people on motorbikes, 100 on motorbikes, attacking communities with the same ransom they collected.
Benefiting from this crime. These are those ones selling these motorbikes, taking it to them, selling drugs.
So why is this country not getting to these people? If they're really so, they are whenever I talk people say there's no political will to stop the bandits, stop the terrorists. If they're aware, I think that they could have checked already the issue of motorbikes being handed to them. It can make a law that somebody can sell more than one motorbike in a day. So when people going to buy 20 or 30, you do a security tag of the person and follow the person and know where it's going. So these things are part of. So I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they know what they're not, they're not telling us. But those missions we're talking about there, you can't just shut motorcycle transport in Nigeria.
Yeah, but what
because
I think,
a lot of areas are not accessible by road, by cars. A lot of people don't have cars. There's no buses. There's no good transport system. Do you understand? So what they know to do is to regulate motorcycles use, and then find a way to research them, and to find that when people who are using motorcycles in an area are not registered, they can become suspects. For instance, do you know how many thousands, millions of Nigerians are feeding their families, feeding themselves, going to school from the process of motorcycle? You have to wait, because if you like one northern youth group said, if you buy motorcycles just without an alternative, those people can become recruits for Boko Haram.
those criminals you were even trying to contain.
You cannot go and join Boko Haram because they have
Because
shut down.
what led to all this is lack of education and poverty.
So if you shut down where they get money from, the frustration can force them to join and become and put more danger to society. So that kind of thing, they have to tackle it with some kind of pact.
On a final note, Silas, sorry to cut you short. I think what you just said here has brought us to one critical issue. I think government's approach, the approach of our security forces in combating these terror groups, has to a greater extent escalated the insecurity situation. Number one. I think in this kind of situation, I think what is sacrosanct is intelligence gathering.
Yeah.
Because if you have a very strategic and strong intelligence gathering
And
mechanism,
after you gather the intelligence, what
you
information sharing?
it helps you to trace where they are, pick them, handle them.
You see, the issue of political will is important, because if, like the deputy speaker said, that there were 44 intelligence reports and nothing was done. Even the minister of interior said there was enough intelligence. He doesn't know why the guy did not act. So there's all these things go together to work well, both intelligence and the strategy to use that intelligence into what action. That's very important. But if you get intelligence and give them on the table and nobody's ready to work on it, then you're just wasting your time.
Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. And of course, I urge all Nigerians to be safe, be careful in their movement, in their dealings, especially those in the FCT who are new to this security threat. I think it is better we become very careful and watchful. Thank you for keeping tab with us, and of course, I'll thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue the way it is. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.